The Mind Dynamics Institute welcomes you and invites you to take your coaching toolkit to mastermind level. The purpose of this presentation is to take a peek inside your coaching toolbox, that wonderful array of learning, of instruments, of disciplines, questionnaires that you use to help your clients achieve success on the coaching journey. What we would like to talk to you about is the introduction of a fairly unique tool, in that it's a functional profile instrument that is likely to enhance the combination of what you already have in that toolkit to achieve even greater success in your coaching relationships. This is about the Mind Dynamics profiling instrument, and we will be touching on the accreditation program for professional coaches. The Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument, or MDPI, is a neuroscience-based functional measurement of the individual's hardwired expertise. So let's take a little look at neuroscience. What do we mean? Well, neuroscience is the scientific study of the nervous system. It's a multidisciplinary branch of biology that combines physiology, anatomy, molecular biology, developmental biology, cytology, mathematical modeling, and psychology to understand the fundamental and emergent properties of neurons and neural circuits. Well, that is really deep, it's diverse, and it's a lot to ask of the coach to grasp. However, we have a solution for you, and that is thanks to the work of Dr. Melody de Jager, a behaviorist, widely globally published author, and the founder of the Mind Moves Institute, the Mind Dynamics Institute, the Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument, Baby Gym, and many other disciplines. Melody's body of work took a look at the evolution of mind or brain profiling instruments, beginning from that fundamental left-right brain hemisphere dominance that we're all so familiar with. But as we well know, the brain and the science of the brain has evolved enormously, with more and more complex models evolving, providing insight to the wonderful complexity and superpowers of this unique organ that each of us possesses. Dr. de Jager's work resulted in this unique three-dimensional perspective, not only of the brain, but in terms of how the brain actually functions and operates. Because after all, it's not single-dimensional. And the complexity becomes even greater when we consider that because the brain has to be ultimately protected in this vault, this cranium, it does not possess any of its own eyes, its ears. It's so reliant on the human owner to feed information in so that it can process as a supercomputer would operate to instruct the human owner on the right actions to take, not only looking at its survival, but for it to thrive. So we use the classic Mrs. Potato Head as an analogy. And we like to say that without looking at the sensory inputs, in particular where there's a choice between two, such as your eyes and your ears, how you then process in a three-dimensional manner through this wonderful organ, and then express in the form of written and spoken communication, as well as the way that one has a preference for implementation and taking action. So that's a very high-level summation of the work of Dr. de Jager and how she arrived at the introduction and development of the Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument. This journey begins right at the start. And in the Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument Accreditation training, we look at early infant development because the brain is one component of a complex processing system that began its journey from conception through to adulthood. So drawing on that analogy once again of a supercomputer, and in a very similar way to how you would look at certain criteria if you were looking to buy yourself a new computer, we have simplified the complexity or extracted the kernels of neuroscience as the foundation of this instrument. The first area is the information processing theory. And the second, the integrated brain architecture theory that looks at the functionality of the brain, how each individual has been uniquely formed, and then in mind dynamics language, the flow of that information from sensory input through processing to output. Well, what does this achieve for your clients? Certainly a greater appreciation, a love, an embracing, an acknowledgement of where their expertise and uniqueness has emanated from. And that enables them to find a better fit, whether it's just in their own minds, their own mindset, or a better understanding of self, but more commonly in terms of how they create connections with others around them, whether this be in a social, family, or work environment. As we've already explained, we're going to look at 3 dimensions in the report. We look at sensory input, that 3-dimensional brain processing, and then motor muscle output and how the individual likes to take action. The instrument is based on 14 potential dominances. Why 14? Well, the examination only examines those where there's an option for the brain to choose between one of 2. So the most simple and sensible demonstrations are, for example, where you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 feet. What we are looking for in the integrated profile is a sense of equilibrium. Depending on your goals, your client's objectives, or for that matter, what you would like to achieve. This is where the model begins, looking at the potential of the integrated profile. The reality is that within those 14 dimensions, there has been a selection process. The experts dominate, and for yourself and for each of your clients, they will then be introduced to the 7 experts that they already possess and have possessed since inception. There's a reality of life, and that is that we can't keep all of our experts in play because there's this situation of ongoing stress. And the impact of that stress is that certain of the experts power down. So this is the next area that the Mind Dynamics report introduces to the client. And with the understanding of the experts combined with the stress profile, we can then explain a better appreciation of how that information flows for them, whether this is free flow, blocked or interrupted flow, as well as a mixed flow format. The outcomes of the report and the whole aim of this instrument is for practical goal-orientated application. So what we're looking for is a sense of balance, an understanding of what experts already exist, an understanding of the impact of stress, and then a consideration of what experts we would like to develop in order to meet those goals. So in other words, we want to move your client from the state that they're in to the goals that they've identified. And Mind Dynamics achieves this through the application of the concept of mind moves. These are neurologically founded movements, and they introduce a habitual forerunner to new wiring. Because as the saying goes, and as the theory, the principle operates, neurons that fire together work together. Without going into too much detail of the neuroscience behind this or how it works, in brief, what we're doing is taking physiological movements that in effect reach into the brain to create specific stimulus and to create this fully completed cycle of movement from senses through to processing and cognition into action. In the report, what you're introduced to and that you have been trained on and your client is introduced to are practical applications of these movements. And by practical, we truly do mean practical. It's interpreted to aspects such as administration, developing listening skills, better handling criticism, creative problem-solving abilities. So very practical application of these concepts. Does this excite you? Are you interested in becoming part of our movement as an accredited practitioner? Excellent. Well, then let me give you a little bit more information. The Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument Accreditation Program is delivered online on demand. So it's at your pace, and you're able to rewind, review, reset as you go along. It does include 2 face-to-face sessions, one-on-one, with your master trainer. And we pride ourselves on offering very practical guidance on how you can integrate this learning and this instrument with your coaching model. The support materials that we provide you with enable you to implement and promote your offering as an MDPI AP on completion. And of course, we have quite diverse industry recognition for coaching and professional continuous education as an added plus. Your journey will begin with you having your Mind Dynamics profile done by your master trainer. The beauty of this is that not only do you grasp it from a very personal level, but you will immediately gain greater insight to how you take in information, process it, and act on it, and that mix between cognitive understanding and your own EQ levels. This will immediately increase your professional reputation because you will become aware of your potential unconscious biases that we know as a professional coach you need to leave behind when taking the coaching journey forward for your clients, your coachees. The program is essentially delivered in 7 modules. As part of that, you will have 17 video tutorials. There are 7 information-rich modules delivered through approximately 36 hours of study. And along the way, you're going to have 7 self-reflection exercises and quiz sections, both to bring the knowledge that you're gaining into practical personal information for you, as well as to be able to gauge how well you're grasping the depth of information, insight, and knowledge that we're trying to impart to you. On completion, you will find that you will have greater ability to create traction and collaboration with your clients, almost as much as they will now achieve for themselves as individuals, in partnership relationships, importantly in the team environment, and the commonality that you will now have a tool to better strategize how your clients may achieve their goals. In summation, we like to be able to bring this all down, boil it down to 3 kernels of insight. one is insight, the other's to move, and the third to excel. So what do we mean? Well, you will gain insight to yourself. You will now have an instrument that provides an in-depth, functional, neuroscience-based insight for your client on how they take in information, process, and act on it. Against the goals that they've established, you will also be empowered with a tool to create literal movement, to help them do movements that will help with their neural hardwiring development and so move towards goals. And then finally, to excel in the achievements of the goals that they've stipulated. For you as a professional, you now have greater insight to your own profile, your own dynamics. You can move yourself into developing the assets, the dominant experts that you desire, better manage your own stress levels, and of course, excel in your practice. If you would like to know more, please visit our website, minddynamics.com. There is a link to the landing page if you are ready to enroll, or if you would like more information, please drop an email to practitioners@minddynamics.com and we will arrange a one-on-one connection for you or an invitation to participate in one of the frequent workshops. We hope you found this of interest, and we thank you for making the time and opening your mind to the Mind Dynamics Profile Instrument.